It is a critical moment for Cardano's ADA as it faces a potential move to the downside, but also a potential breakout situation. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you what my thoughts and opinions are on the charts, the technical analysis, and where I think ADA could be going next. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful, informative, smash that like button, guys. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, and you will stay up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. So let's jump right down into today's video, right? So here we have Cardano paired up with the USDT, and we have obviously seen the price action slipping down quite aggressively, right? We've seen basically ADA come down here 50.72%. And as I was talking about this on my second channel, we were talking about how actually this is holding up incredibly well in relation to the rest of the altcoin market. So if you haven't already checked that out, there's a link to the channel in the description down below. You go check that video out, because I am talking about how Cardano is actually not in a terrible position from a fundamental and technical analysis standpoint. Here we can see that although we've come down 50%, we did have a little bit of a relief rally from the 13th of April up to the high here on the 23rd of April. It was a 30.62% rally, and we did get rejected from our 200-day exponential moving average. That's the white line that is coming through the chart here. Okay, so we know that we have found resistance, right? And one of the things that a lot of kind of traditional ways of analyzing the market, you would kind of be looking at this saying, okay, if you're above the 200 exponential moving average, the EMA, then you're bullish. And if you're lower than that, then you are, of course, bearish. And we are lower than the 200-day exponential. So we need to be reflecting on a bearish structure here for Cardano's ADA, and this bearish structure is going to be a bit of a problem for ADA. We are going to be looking for a breakout of the 200-day EMA. The other thing that's really quite unfortunate for the price action of Cardano, if you want to be long on it, is that the yellow line, the 50 simple moving average, the blue line, the 50 exponential moving averages, they are looking to cross down lower than the 200-day exponential. And essentially what this is going to tell us is that short-term price action in terms of average is basically lower than longer-term price action. That is what is known as a death cross when you see those things, right? So we want to be aware that there's a death cross potentially here as well for Cardano, but it is a laggy indicator. It's only showing you what's already happened. So if we are to see the death cross, I'm not expecting a huge amount of volatility on the back of it. Actually, I would see a small reaction and then I think a breakout. Okay, and so for Cardano, we do find ourselves at that critical make or break moment, right? Not only because we see the death cross that is looming, the resistance on the 200-day exponential, the fact that the price action is lower than the 200-day, lower than the 50-day EMAs and SMAs, but we are potentially, just coming down here towards that 1.618 Fibonacci level, and that 1.618, that level that I've drawn on the chart here at 38.65 cent, is a trigger point for a macro trend to the downside on the daily time frame. It is basically an Elliott wave pattern. Okay, it'd be a 1, 2, 3, kind of 4, 5 kind of situation, right? So if we cross 38.65 to the downside, then that's going to put us in this wave 3 of a 5-wave movement. And if you look inside here, you would say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you'd have that final move we're in at the moment, taking us down towards 33.83 to 37.49. And that's what we want to avoid, right? So the bulls are going to be looking at this, trying to prevent such a situation from unfolding, right? And at the moment, they're not doing a bad job, which is why I say it's a make or break moment, because you can see in here, and I'm going to draw a yellow box on right in here, this is actually acting as a key area for Cardano's price action, right? There's no closed positions here lower than the 44.12 cent. Okay, we can see that we have gone into this range and it's a huge area of demand. This is an area where we can find a lot of buying pressure. So the bulls at the moment are doing a really good job at keeping the price out of the danger zone, right? If we start closing lower than 44.12, then we're going to be in a bit more pain. I think we're going to see that unfortunate 38.65 potentially get broken and go down deep enough to kind of finish off that 5-wave movement. Hopefully that is not the case. but we can of course see that there's the potential for this on the chart. So we want to be a little bit cautious, but optimistic, right? We want to be optimistic because this at the moment is showing us with a huge area of demand that as long as it stays as demand, we might be able to get a push up higher towards our 200-day EMA again and have another attempt at trying to break on through it. My concerns are that we probably won't break through it on that next attempt. I take a look at the charts here and I say to myself, if we're going to be trying to push our way up there, we are likely to find it more again as resistance. We have got lower highs, lower lows, all those traditional ways of looking at the chart, being unfortunately a little bit more on the bearish side. Now, if we go ahead and throw on smart money concepts, we also can see that we are a bearish or have a bearish structure. This change of characterization as indicated right here occurred when we got a close position lower than the previous swing low on the 13th of April. Okay, so we know that smart money concepts is also giving us these warning signs around the price action of Cardano, right? We know that unfortunately everything here from the EMA side of things, the Elliott wave theory side of things, the smart money concept side of things, it's all not looking overly great for Cardano. So let's go ahead and reflect on, okay, well, if we are in these bearish states of play and we are to see this breakdown, is it the end of the Cardano price rally? No. It's one of two things that could be happening here, right? We've either got a downward trend that's finishing, where we then look for a big significant surge to the upside, or alternatively, we have a 5-wave movement that bounces to the upside only to collapse down deeper later. Okay, one of these things which is consistent on both of those scenarios is that a bounce from this lower range, should it come in, is due, as in we are likely to see this regardless of whether we go down deeper at a later stage. We're likely to see a reversal bounce where I would target out, moving back towards the 50-cent ranges. Really does depend obviously on how low you go if in this particular scenario. So I'm not overly too concerned because you don't want to necessarily be selling down at the lower side. You would wait for the bounce, and if the signals are also still telling us that we are not yet bullish or not ready for those bullish movements, we then sell and then come down. We don't sell at the bottom, we sell towards tops, right? You try to trade in and out of those positions as you need to if you wanted to. Again, it's not necessarily something that everyone does. It's one of those things that it does carry risk associated with it. For more details on the kind of different strategies and things like that, you might as well join us down our 3 Discord. The link for that is in the description down below. I don't think you'll regret what's down there. There's a fantastic community, very helpful bunch of people. We're down there, we chat to everyone as well, so why not check it out? Link is in the description below. So let's go ahead and roll this up into the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, you can see here are looking for support being found here on the 50 simple moving average, right? That is the yellow line coming through here. Now on the weekly time frame, you can see that the 200 weekly exponential moving average, the white line, is resistance for ADA. Since we lost this on the 22nd of April, here we've seen ourselves moving down, unfortunately. Resistance is not just with the closed positions lower than the 200-day exponential, but also those wicks are not pushing past the 50-week exponential, so for the most part, 50-week SMA is looking good. 200 EMA and 50 EMA on the weekly, not so good. And of course, we can see this move down a little bit, but with all of that, we can see that actually the 50-week exponential moving average is moving up close towards its 200 weekly exponential. And that's actually going to be a golden cross should that happen in the next few weeks. Again, only shows you what's already happened, but puts Cardano potentially seeing a bit more of a bump to the upside. All in all, there's a couple of different ways of looking at this. As I said, we are either going to be in a big kind of corrective move like this, right, where we see big kind of collapse down towards kind of 30-cent levels, or alternatively, kind of what my preferred option is that we're actually in an irregular flat correction like so, and this is a finishing move ahead of what happens next, which will be basically the parabolic runs that we saw way back in 2021, right? We saw these kind of things, we saw these kind of moves play out, and then we had a real big surge to the upside, and we are going to be targeting out some pretty decent prices for Cardano's ADA. We are just in that very early stages. I liken this to maybe the wave 2 of what we saw previously. So On a macro scale, I would go 1. This is all a wave 2. We then go up into a big wave 3 into new all-time highs. We move back down a little bit and then we finish it off just like we did back in 2021. And this would actually then complete a 5-wave, a 5-3-5 pattern, a zigzag pattern on the weekly time frame. So that would be where my mind is at. On Cardano, we are targeting out between $5 and $12 on the conservative side, and a moonshot at around $38 should everything line up for Cardano. It's unlikely that that's going to be the case. So 5 to 12 is the more conservative target, but with the idea of this being a irregular flat correction. We'll know more whether this is or is not at a later date. So all eyes are going to be on Cardano's daily and weekly charts over the next few weeks to see where this kind of lands. So yeah, guys, that's going to kind of wrap up this video. If you have found it useful, smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe. And if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out this video right here where we're discussing what is going on with the internet computer, ICP.